We're live. Here we go. Thank you.
Back in 1 minute to redraw. But like I was saying, the Jay in Puerto Rico,
Yep.
he seems like he's going to be very long.
Okay, that's good.
And, but he's,
We're going to start with Chris in West Oakland
yeah, that works.
and Hardcore Raider.
Okay.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one they can handle, and the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional grade supplies for every industry, even hard to find products, and we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most important,
Everybody hear me on the chat? Everybody good? Seeing some all goods. Everybody there? You can hear me? Think we got this thing rolling?
All right, here we go.
in the end zone. No official has been given yet. They say a touchback. The Chiefs recover the ball in the end zone. St. Flowers caught the ball and fumbles the ball into the end zone. The runner fumbled short of the goal line. Recovered in the end zone. Kansas City has a touchback. St. Flowers hit short of the end zone and fumbles the ball.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Turn it up. I got the YouTube feed going. We're live on YouTube, which is a big deal for us. You can see the show. Not much to see, but fun. Talk to me via the chat whenever we're in there. All right, I see everybody there. I'll get to you in a second here. Overall, if you're just joining us on any of the platforms, again, did anybody choke? Did any team choke? I don't like to use the C word often, but I got to tell you, Dan Campbell not taking the 3 the second time is the reason why the Lions aren't in the Super Bowl. I did 3 hours on the radio last night on this topic. The Lions had the lead. They had a big lead. They had a comfortable lead. They should have won the game. They had a massive lead. Over. Game is over at the half if you don't screw it up. Now, what I've told you for decades, whenever there is an epic comeback, there is an equal or greater collapse. I'll explain it again in all sports. Magic Johnson with the Lakers, Kobe, whatever your favorite team is. Whenever you had the baseball, perfect example. You're down 10 runs, you're coming back and win the game, epic comeback, equal or greater collapse. The collapse of the Detroit Lions will go down in NFL history. History because it enabled the Niners to advance to the Super Bowl when the Niners should have been beat the week before because they were outplayed by Green Bay. And then Green Bay fumbled the ball or the interception. Green Bay made mistakes and the Niners took advantage of that. So what did Dan Campbell do that was wrong? What Dan Campbell should have did on that 4th and 3 at the 7-minute mark of the game in that range should have kicked the field goal and tied the game. Here's why. They had a massive lead and they lost it. They lost all their momentum and all their confidence. You don't put them in a radical decision to go for it all to come back and take the lead. Take the points. Take the points. This is the NFC Championship game. This is not week 4 at Minnesota. It's the NFC Championship game. Give your team the ability to come back and win the game. They make the field goal. Now, no guarantee, but good kicker. They make the field goal. The game is tied. Purdy could have threw an interception because he's nervous. The game's tied. He doesn't have the lead. Purdy could make a mistake. There could be a mistake, and Detroit could win the game. But Dan Campbell went down the way he wanted to go down as a head coach that is a player's coach that is aggressive. We spent a lot of time on this show talking about the Chargers' boy blunder, Brandon Staley, and all the times he went for it when he shouldn't have. That wasn't Tom Telesco's fault, the GM of the team, who's now the GM of the Raiders. It wasn't even there wasn't even Dean Spanos' fault. It was the coach who got too aggressive. He's out of work. Dan Campbell's not going to get fired. But, as callers told me last night, Dan Campbell should be in a situation where he's got to sit down with ownership and explain what he did. I blame the loss of the Lions partly on Dan Campbell being a riverboat gambler. As I said last night, Dan Campbell looked like a degenerate gambler at the lowest casino in downtown Las Vegas, where it's a $2 minimum to play blackjack. He looked like a degenerate gambler at the place you wouldn't even walk into because you don't want to be seen there. And Detroit lost. You got to be kidding me. Unbelievable. And then Zay Flowers getting a taunting penalty after a play and fumbling the ball into the end zone. You can blame him in Baltimore, and we'll get into Lamar Jackson and what's happening there. So appreciate everybody being patient. Danny's here. Bobby's off today. We'll start off with Chris in West Oakland, who joins us on the Raider flagship. Hello, Chris.
Both these teams, but you're right. I have to live with the 49er fans. That's why I'm rooting for the Chiefs today. That's going forward this week, next week in the Super Bowl. That's why I rooted for them in 2019. I have to live with all these Niner fans that most of them couldn't tell you who the coach was before Bill Walsh or the quarterback before Joe Montana. Hell, half of them can't tell you who the coach is now. But they all fly their flag and wear their brand new Bang Bang Niner game T-shirts, but know absolutely nothing about football. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs going forward for that reason. You can tell me at the end of the call too, JT, which team's gonna work out in the Raider facility? Will it be the Chiefs or the Niners? I can't think of a worse scenario than either one of them in using the facilities in Henderson that the Raiders had. But I digress. Let me get to the games real quick, and I'll talk about the matchup in the coming days. First game, listen, I told you all along, JT, I told you back on Christmas Day when the Raiders beat the Chiefs. Until somebody beats Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, I'm not betting against him. I thought all along they were going to go in and win that game for one reason, and it's not just Lamar Jackson. 20 years from now, JT, if we're both lucky enough to still be around and coherent, we're going to be sitting around with a cigar and a Modelo. We're going to look back at this era much like Michael Jordan. A lot of guys aren't going to get Super Bowls and aren't going to get championships or appearances because they played in the Patrick Mahomes era. That being said, it's not all Lamar Jackson's fault. However, the quarterback gets the most blame. And for people that have been wanting to put this guy on an equal pedestal of Pat Mahomes, it's not even close. Lamar Jackson in his 4 playoff losses, they averaged barely 10 points a game, a quarterback rating of about 60 with 9 turnovers and 3 touchdowns. Lamar wasn't horrible yesterday, but he was pretty bad. But it's moments. When they absolutely needed him the most, he just didn't come up big. 1 for 7 on third downs. An absolutely atrocious interception into triple coverage. And I was mad at Andy Reid. I thought Andy Reid managed the game in the second half like Trent Dilfer was his quarterback. But when it came time to ice the game, big moments, Patrick Mahomes hit Valdez-Scantling, came over, and it's why I thought the Chiefs were going to win all along. But let me get to what I really want to talk about. I'm with you 1,000%. Dan freaking Campbell. First off, there's 4 third quarter after the Niners had kicked the field goal. Take the damn points. Every situation's not the same. And for people that want to give this guy a pass and not hold him accountable because that's who he is, just because you do something stupid and get away with it before doesn't mean you should do it now. Remember, he cost them the number 2 overall seed, even though it didn't come back to haunt him because Dallas left. Because after a 10-yard penalty on a 2-point conversion, he could put his ego aside in that game and went for 2, and they didn't get it. You have to take the points and be smart. These coaches are getting out of control. That being said, after that, which was the floodgates, and this is where I'm going to get to Brock Purdy. This isn't a guy that's been a gunslinger and is out throwing for 400 yards. I hate to sound like sour grapes, but I've yet to see I haven't seen a team in a long time as lucky as the 49ers these last 2 weeks. Brock Purdy has gift wrapped. What is my biggest pet peeve, JT? Interceptions. He's gift wrapped 6 interceptions the last 2 weeks, and the defense has made him pay for 1. 2 plays after Campbell doesn't kick the field goal on the third down, he gift wraps an interception to the safety. Goes right through his hands, bounces off the helmet, and they get the ball on the 2-yard line and score a play later. Then on the next play by the Lions, they fumble again.
Right.
Literally, they get a ball on the 2 yard.
Yep. Yes.
But his ego got in the way again. He cost them this football game. This was the Lions lost.
Okay. Okay. I can tell. Right. All right, Chris. Yeah. You should have a podcast with that call. It was so long and good. But Chris, lighten it up there on Dan Campbell, the points, the mistakes that were made, what you should do at the time. It's coaching 101. It's the NFC Championship game. You take the points. You've already done it once. It didn't work. Okay? It's not about you. It's not about you. Don't tell me, well, your players are going to do whatever you do, Dan Campbell. If you punt, if you go for a field goal, they're going to do what you do. At that point, I'm not critical for him going on fourth down earlier in the game. Okay, but you got to look at the score and say you could go up 17. Okay, you can go up 3 scores. 3 scores. You got to take that opportunity in the NFC Championship game. Everybody on God's green earth knew that the Niners were coming back in that game. Everybody knew that the Niners were going to make a comeback. And you know what Detroit did? They rolled it out for them on a red carpet. Rolled it out for them to go win the game, and they did. I mean, it's hard to lose a lead 24-7 when you're out playing a team. And remember, Detroit didn't get lucky. Detroit didn't get lucky to have that lead. They ran the ball down the Niners' throat, and Goff was lit up. He was locked in. And how about Goff in the second half of that game? That's Jared Goff. Jared Goff's a good player, very good player. He's not elite. When you look at Jared Goff, even though the Niners were coming back, if Goff just played high end, doesn't matter if the Niners are coming back. Goff goes 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 4. They just pick up first downs. You bleed the clock. The game's over. They didn't do that because Jared Goff was not electric in the second half of the game. Lamar Jackson in the second half of the game against Mahomes was a mismatch. What a shame. Detroit had him beat. What a shame Detroit had him beat. Hardcore Raider joins us on the flagship station. Go ahead. Not good.
So, this offseason, I'm pretty fired up because there were some questionable decisions Raiders made. Not that we were going to go to the Super Bowl, but my main thing was just, Raiders make the playoffs, preferably, and, maybe hit lightning in a bottle to take the Chiefs out of the playoffs. Because my number one fear was to not have the Chiefs in a Super Bowl in our house. And, I woke up today and I was just living, it's like a nightmare that came true, And then hearing that the Chiefs are going to be our practice facility, I guess that's standard operating procedure.
Yeah, it is.
For the home team. And, I just look at it with this organization waiting 60 years to have our stadium, 63 years to have a Super Bowl in our stadium. And then for it to be these two teams, I couldn't have asked for a worse scenario for the first Super Bowl ever in Las Vegas. And I'm going to disagree with Chris. I lived in, Cali. I understand the Niner rivalry and all that, but they're an NFC team. We play once every couple of years. And I know Raider fans hate Niners, and I know how Niner fans run their mouth. I used to call the radio station there in the Bay. I know how they were always hating on the Raiders and stuff, man. But at the end of it, we have a team that's an arch rival. You go back to the Hunt family, and in my opinion, what they did, they didn't even want the Raiders to be an organization going back to 1960, plus what the Hunt family and the Chiefs did to Al Davis when he was the AFL commissioner. And there was a lot of rivalry between Al Davis and these Chiefs. So to me, hell no, I don't want the Chiefs to come into our house and get a 4th Super Bowl victory taking the AFC West and then do it in our house. And the first Super Bowl ever played in a Raiders stadium and our own stadium now that we don't have to share.
Yeah.
So, I do want to ask you something.
Yep. Right. I don't know. I know they're going to be. I know they're going to be in the facility, and appreciate the call. I don't know. I know they're going to practice. I would assume they're going to have a locker room, but the Raiders have additional locker rooms there. The Raiderette locker room, the UNLV locker room, the opposing locker room. So there's a way that they won't be in the Raiders locker room. If they are, I'll find out. I can find out in the text message. So I don't know exactly, but I knew for a long time the AFC champion would be practicing in Henderson and take control of the Raiders building, at least practice the weight room, the meal room and all that, the meeting rooms and everything. Fortunately, they're not going to cover up the images of Tom Flores and John Madden. They're not going to cover up the Raider logo in our building. But it is uncomfortable that they're there. It is. We care about this. Fans care about this. And it's football. And normally in a market such as Las Vegas or another market this size, no one would care about the matchup. We care about the matchup. Remember, Las Vegas doesn't even need the Super Bowl, and we'd be sold out for everybody coming here to watch the Super Bowl. Now we actually have the game. So it's going to be cool. It's the highest valued walk-in ticket in Super Bowl history, not even close. I mean, there are some tickets going for $40,000, lower bowl, single tickets. So to get in this game, it's absolute insanity. To watch it around town, you're going to have everybody who's in town for the Super Bowl game, plus everyone who's in town to bet the Super Bowl and just get entertainment. It's going to be unbelievable. And that's what I'm most excited about. This is a memory that when I first moved to Vegas, it never even crossed my mind there'd be a football team, let alone a Super Bowl. Now we'll probably be on the rotation to have a Super Bowl every, I would say, 4 to 5 years. They'd be nuts not to. They'd be nuts. The NFL loves Vegas. It's a revenue machine. It's a cash cow for the owners. So I think we'll be here often, and we got to knock it out of the park. It's got to be a great Super Bowl city year one, and we're planning on that happening. 702-365-9200. I have the sound here we'll get to at the top of the hour. Sam Munson from Pro Football Focus joins us at 1 o'clock Pacific time. He'll have a really good breakdown of the game. Raider Mike is up next on Raider Nation Radio. Go ahead, Mike. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, don't get arrested. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get in a fight. Yeah, I know that. What are you going to make of it?
I'm frustrated. We'll talk this through for the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's going to be uncomfortable for Raider fans here. I even had Raider fans tell me they're leaving town or they're not coming in. I'm like, come on, man. We're all adults. Like, let's not be stupid here. It's a football game. Okay? Grow up. The teams that deserve to be here got here. We just happen not to like either one. We got a bad beat. They dealt us a bad beat. It won't be financially for the city and for the airport and for all the businesses here and all the people we pull for and all of our proud partners. We want everybody to have a good time here. But overall, you got to understand this is a gut punch to the Raider Nation, and we'll admit it, and we'll move on. I'm interested in the OC news when it comes down the pike, and we have some other Raider content to talk about. But I teed you up about this a month ago. I said, when the Super Bowl gets here, I'm covering the Super Bowl, everybody, unless there's Raiders breaking news. Unfortunately, we got some Raiders breaking news coming hopefully soon on the offensive coordinator. But other than that, I can't believe it. Also, coming back, Travis Kelce had the best game of his career, and it wasn't even in the Super Bowl. How does that happen? I have a PhD on how to stop Travis Kelce. I give everybody the information. I give it to coaches. I give it to scouts. I give it to people in the media. I go on other radio shows. I give you the formula on how to stop Travis Kelce, and no one listens to me. I'm right, they're wrong. I know how to stop Travis Kelce. I can't do it personally, but I tell everybody how to do that. And the toughest team in football, the Baltimore Ravens, had no interest in putting their hands on Kelce, putting their hands on him, making him difficult. They let him run like a doe in the forest, run around like a little doe prancing through a field of dandelions. He can do whatever he wants. And the Ravens with Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Hamilton, really good players, had no answer for Travis Kelce when up in the booth was his girlfriend, Mrs. Mahomes, Grandma Mahomes, everybody else doing the shoulder roll, having fun. CBS kept going to him. CBS would go to commercial. 3 out of 5 were chief players in commercials. Come back, show you a little Taylor Swift, and no one guarded Kelce. I can't believe it. Kelce should have been taken out of the game. John Harbaugh, who's a very good coach, I really believe he's a very good coach. He's proven that. Got completely outcoached. Unbelievably. Worst game I ever saw him coach. His team's body language sucked. Lamar Jackson's on the bench. One point in the game, I'm watching with a bunch of friends. Happy birthday. My buddy Jimmy turned 55 at a big event at Red Rock, and we were out there, and we're watching the game. And two things I said. We're going to watch where Kelce lines up right here. It's like a 3rd and 4. Watch, no one's over him. He was really? Yeah, no one's on him. He gets a free release, gets the first down. It was high school football. Bishop Gorman would have coached that better. Bishop Gorman would have had a better game plan of guarding Kelce than what happened in Baltimore. And then the other thing I noticed was the Ravens are losing. They're down 17-7. Lamar Jackson sitting on the bench with a heavy, heavy jacket and a hat with a pom-pom on it and a mask. I'm like, get that freaking coat off of you. Start running in place. Get on the bicycle. Do something, Lamar, with your body language to inspire your team. And they show Mahomes in the 4th quarter standing on the sidelines, not sitting, standing, rooting on his defense. I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, how do you pick against Mahomes? We told you the bet. Kansas City fans should just bet them on the money line the rest of their life when they're an underdog. Just bet them on the money line. Did you make any money? Did you lose any money? Let me know. Tropical Remy. What is it about Kelce that teams won't touch him? I never got that. AP figured it out. Yeah, that is important. No doubt about it as people are jumping in, talking about our coaches in Pala, in the Bay Area. We're on YouTube Live. Got a bunch of people in there. Make some new internet friends. Go to JT the Brick YT Live on YouTube now if you'd like and join it. I'll jump in. I jump in the chats here on the breaks as we are brought to you by Modelo, the #1 beer in America. How great is that? We're proud partners of Modelo as the Super Bowl comes to Vegas right here on the flagship of the Silver and Black. We'll get to that sound next hour. All right, everybody, I'm in the chat. Appreciate you being here. We had a little technical difficulty to start, but now we're good. KC haters are dominating. And I understand we don't have the callers hooked up. Technically, we can't do that here because we can't interrupt the radio feed. So I got this Yeti mic. Hopefully you can pick up some callers there, and I'll use my headset for people to jump in. Yeah. I'm not freaking out about this, even though it sounds like I'm pretty pissed off about it, but I had a feeling this was going to happen, so I was rooting hard against it. I thought that I got the Detroit game right. I thought San Francisco would win and Detroit would cover, but I didn't think that San Francisco would come back down 24-7. And I thought that Baltimore's defense would have been good enough to beat Kansas City, and I was wrong there. It's just crazy. It's just unbelievable that we're dealing with Mahomes. In a year where you had to play Miami, Buffalo, and Baltimore, and they won. And he got shut out in the second half of the AFC Championship game. Tropical Remy, I live in Kansas City. All I heard was fireworks going off yet again. Well, you should. Loco 6 says, cancel the Super Bowl. Cancel the Super Bowl. Debbie Cakes, I'm already getting blank from all the damn Niner fans over here in San Jose, annoying as hell. I got friends. I got a relative who's a Niner fan, and I don't live in the Bay Area anymore. And, the Niners, I don't lose sleep over the Niners. And I got a couple of people that I know who are big Niner fans, but it's tough. Wheelie says it must be so insulting to the NFL DCs that a radio host thinks he knows how to stop Travis Kelce better than them. That's so cringy. Well, what's cringy about it? I think I know more about Travis Kelce than some of the defensive coordinators that give up 11 receptions on 11 targets. I think I can do a better job in that. And I know one thing, those DCs can't host a radio show, so I got them on that. And I think I could call a better game as a Travis Kelce consultant than some of the guys that are out there. So, anyway, Pigs 76, Lamar needed that win. Well, for Hall of Fame consideration, Lamar's not a Hall of Famer as of now, right, Danny? No, that's a good topic because he's going to have 2 MVPs. Yeah. And he's going to have all-time career rushing stats, and he's going to have a lot of wins, and Lamar's not done yet. Lamar's still young. So I think Lamar's going to have some time. Remember, Dan Marino went to his first ever Super Bowl his rookie year and never went back. I think the Ravens will have a chance to go back in the future. All right, you want to reset these calls?
We're both there.
And that was Kevin and Jay.
Kevin and Jay.
Yep, got you. Yep.
Are you able to mute that mic real quick?
Is that?
Are you able to mute that mic real quick?
Yeah.
We'll hear everything.
Good. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I got to talk to Demar
Yeah.
because that's how Cofield streams their show.
Good. Yeah, we'll figure that out. We're new to this. We have 80 people here. That's great. Really appreciate the 80 people that are there. Imagine what this is going to look like in a year or two or other opportunities. Also, I'm on Mad Dog Sports Radio tonight, 4 to 7 p.m. on Sirius XM 82.
All right, here we go.
Yep.
Rush. Fires it near side to Kelce. Comes back to the ball and holds it in. Touchdown, Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes absolutely took duct tape and just wrapped the ball around the waist of Travis Kelce for a 19-yard touchdown.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious.
JT back with you. Yes, we're brought to you by the Black Hole, football's most notorious fans. We are live on YouTube. Wherever you're watching or listening, we appreciate that you're in here. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, JT the Brick YT for YouTube, get in there, and there's a lot of chats going on, people going back and forth. You can get right in front of me via the chat element that is there. And again, brought to you by the Black Hole. If you're a Raider fan, go to the Black Hole, sign up to become a member, and get all the cool discounts, the merch, everything you'd want to have to be a member of football's most notorious fan base. So we're talking about how much we hate this matchup. We do. A lot of people just can't stand it, but that's not going to deter me from watching or going to the Super Bowl or going out before the Super Bowl and after the Super Bowl. This to me is a Vegas party. I don't like the matchup, but I look at it the way I told my dad the other day. It's like a heavyweight fight, right? I always liked the Mike Tyson fight or a Holyfield fight, but sometimes I went to a heavyweight fight and it turned out to be great, and I didn't like the matchup going in. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. That's not Ali Frazier, but I went and it was one of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen. I saw Klitschko and Lennox Lewis in L.A. at the time, Staples Center. Remember when Klitschko's eye got almost taken out of his head, the big cut? They stopped the fight. Wasn't expecting an evening like that. It was memorable. This is a pure heavyweight fight. Pure heavyweight fight. If Detroit would have won and got in, Detroit's not a heavyweight, but they have a heavyweight fan base that would have been unbelievable here. Kansas City is the reigning heavyweight champ, and the Niners have been the best contender over the last 2 or 3 years. So you got a heavyweight fight here. We're going to take advantage of that. And it seems like most people are going to root. If they're going to root or not pay attention or root a little bit, it'll be for the Niners more so than Kansas City. Kevin is up next. Kevin, thanks for waiting. Appreciate your patience. Go.
JT, long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm not going to touch on the details on how the 49ers and Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl. You guys have been talking about it perfectly, and especially Chris at the top of the chat there in the call. Being a long-time Raider fan for over 45 years now, as a fan and as a fan base in general, we've received a lot of emotional gut punches, and we have thick skin to a certain degree. And this is definitely one of the biggest gut punches for Raiders fans in general. You know, if you were to tell me that the Raiders were going to get a brand new stadium and in Vegas of all wonderful cities, and then be able to host a football or a Super Bowl, and then tell me that the Chiefs and the 49ers were going to be playing in your home stadium, I would not believe it. But living in the era of having to watch Mahomes and having to watch the new dynasty now with Mahomes and Kelce and girlfriend Kelce, and seeing all the commercials of every single sports event on television with these guys. You know, the only time that I boycotted watching a Super Bowl was when these two teams of all teams played. And I'm going to deal with it in my way, like a lot of other Raider fans do. And they might be in denial.
Yeah.
They might do whatever they do to either watch it and root for one team or the other.
Okay, I'm out. I appreciate your call. I'm out. I'm not doing movie marathons. I'm not turning off the game. I remember early in my career, some idiot in Kansas City for the Royals said, in the 4th inning, we're going to turn our shirts inside out and walk out. I said, what an idiot that guy is. He actually thinks it's going to matter. I do not support boycotts of sporting events. You have got to be an idiot to not watch the Super Bowl or boycott any sporting event. You don't matter enough to have a difference. Okay? We're not boycotting what is real in this world. And there's a lot of things to boycott. You don't boycott sports. You want to go on a trip, go on a vacation? I'm going on a little trip, a little 3-day, 4-dayer right after the Super Bowl to decompress after having to talk about Kansas City for 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a little getaway right after the Super Bowl. Live inside YouTube in the chat. JT the Brick YT, subscribe on YouTube. When we come back, Sam Munson will join us from Pro Football Focus. He's always fantastic. We'll do a live hit from him from Radio Row at the Mandalay Convention Center. Also, if you're going to a party, you got some hype for Vegas. What's going to be? This weather's great today. We had some bad weather about a week ago. I think some colder weather's coming in, and then hopefully it's going to push out, and maybe the weather will be good because we want to put on a big show here in Las Vegas. And it's 70 degrees, Danny, right now. 70 degrees in Vegas. Man, if we could have that. And it's dropping to next Monday when the whole media comes here. 38-degree low, 52 rain. A week from today, long distance. And then hopefully the weather gets built up a bit. We want good weather for the Super Bowl. People want to be outside and have fun. I'll jump into the chat for a few minutes, get some water. And we got a big hour coming up on the other side. This is Raider Nation Radio on the Raiders mobile app. And you can find my YouTube stream up and running, JT the Brick YT. All right, everybody, this is top of the hour where I usually get a glass of water or two, take a little bit of a break, and come back. But good chat so far. It seems like everybody here wants the Niners to beat the Chiefs. Am I right to say that? Or is it like maybe 80-20 wanting to beat the Chiefs over the Niners? And what is that bang, bang Niner thing, man? I came up with the term Niner Empire. That was me. No one else, me. That was my term. What's this bang bang Niner thing? Danny, do you know what bang bang 49er means?
I have no idea.
You have no
I think it's
idea.
just a slogan they say. I'm not
Is that a new slogan? Bang bang 49er? All right, we got Sam. Wait till I start us off. Be right back, everyone. How many viewers do they get on that? Steve gets on and stuff.
not too sure. I haven't looked. Probably not many. Somewhere between 50 and 100, probably.
Yeah. A 94. That's nice. Wow. Whoa, man. I mean, I'm not really pissed off as I was yesterday. I mean, yesterday I was pissed off.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday I was pissed off. I mean, I was generally upset. And, you know, normally I wouldn't get that upset about sports,
Right.
but I got upset. I could not believe what was going on, and it bothered me in a bad way. So we'll see.
I understand the rivalry between the Chiefs and the Raiders. It's massive, obviously, but I was curious after both games which one is worse for Raiders fans. Chiefs because of the rivalry or San Fran because of the Bay Area? I wasn't sure which one the actual Raiders fan base factors in more. And the fact that Chiefs will be in the home locker room and at the practice facility.
Yeah, the practice facility thing pisses a lot of people off.
Las Vegas never sleeps, and neither does Busy Boots Automotive. Open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Busy Boots offers repairs, smog test, oil change.
Yeah, who are you rooting against most on Twitter?
Plus, free diagnostics, free towing, and a free loaner car anywhere in the valley with qualifying repairs. Or enjoy free Wi-Fi and refreshments while you wait. No appointment is ever necessary.
All right, we're coming back, everybody. Yeah. I never cheer for an AFC team in the Super Bowl unless it's the Raiders. Fabian, I'm not rooting for the Whiners or the Chefs.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Comisario Tequila, the official tequila of the JT the Brick Show.
It's time for JT the Brick.
Every one of these games has been a pain in the ass. Every game is like a nightmare. Catch the ball. Tackle. This is new day, new chapter, new era, new mindset. A lot of Raider fans wanted to change. We got the change. Our intention of how we play, the execution of our play, the mindset of our team.
Hello?
That's one of the important. This is a turn in the right direction for the Raiders
Hello?
organization, and I'm pumped about it. You're right.
Sam, you there?
Black and white. You know how I feel when I walk out the door. I think the Raider fans are happy for a reset. Not a long-winded person. I don't get here to do the dialogue or write an essay. This guy's ready to roll. You're not messing around. He wants to win. Raider Nation, our fan base, our alumni base, everybody come black out. That black hole we rock and roll. As I always say, you know, you show up and we'll show out.
JT the Brick.
Here we go.
I'm ready to go and think you're really going to enjoy it. What is that mindset? It's that of the Raider pride, commitment to excellence, and making sure our alumni, our fan base, and Raider Nation are proud when they see us.
Danny. Danny.
That's the
Here's JT the Brick.
JT back with you. Hour number 2 of the show live on YouTube. JT the Brick YT. Got a bunch of people in there. Thanks for showing up. And on the flagship of the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio and on the Raiders mobile app as it's countdown to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. The matchup that we are dreading is here. The matchup that we didn't want as a local community. Now, look, there's some bartenders and some other people that like the matchup. I'm not going to dive into the economy of selling food and selling cocktails. But for Raider fans, I just tweeted out the topic we never wanted to cover on the flagship of the Raiders is happening in real time. Which team do you want to lose Super Bowl 58? At JT the Brick on Twitter. I think the answer is pretty obvious. I think most people want to see Kansas City lose because we're in the same division, in the same conference. But Raider fans know that the Niners, when they win, and the thing I want to say about the Niners again, they should not be in the Super Bowl. They should not be in here because they haven't played well in the playoffs until the second half of their second game. Okay, so they played 4 halves of football. And I thought Green Bay was better the entire game. The Niners made breaks. They won the game. But even Niner fans were on the edge of their seat. And then the Niners were dominated and got boat raced in the first half against Detroit. And they had an epic comeback. It was a comeback for the ages. I mean, this is a San Francisco 49er team that had the catch with Dwight Clark in a critical game. Clearly the greatest moment, non-Super Bowl in Niners history. This was pretty close. I mean, this was pretty close what happened here. The comeback that they had in the game, very close to one of the iconic moments in Niners history. So that's what we're talking about here today, about both teams are in the Super Bowl. Always a pleasure on Mondays to welcome in Sam Munson from Pro Football Focus. And Sam, you look back at the catch with Dwight Clark and what we saw with Montana. This comeback by the Niners in the second half was one for the ages for a franchise that has a lot of big moments. How did they do it, big picture?
Particularly for this current version of the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan as coach, it's the kind of comeback they haven't demonstrated the ability to achieve before now. A big, significant deficit, and the offense is usually not built to come back from those kinds of games. So I think it was a statement performance, a statement comeback by them to show they could do that, but it needed some things to go their way. You know, they had that crazy big play to Brandon Ayuk that bounced off the helmet of the defensive back. They got a really key fumble by Jahmyr Gibbs at a critical situation as well. And then obviously the Lions failing to convert on multiple fourth down tries that has been their MO this season. They've made a season out of going for it on fourth down, being aggressive and converting a lot of those, and they weren't able to get it done this time. So a lot of things had to break their way for it to work.
Sam, when you look at the way the fourth downs were handled from an analytics standpoint, down in distance, doing what you do best, looking at the entire body of the decision from earlier in the year, we knew this was going to be a coach who would go for it on fourth down. But after what happened in Dallas, where I got a little too aggressive for me with Dan Campbell, and knowing the team wasn't playing well in the second half in Santa Clara, I thought the second fourth down, he had to take the points and kick the field goal. What am I missing or what am I getting right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make an argument that the second one, he maybe should have taken the points, but this is a kicker that's only 76% career between 40 and 50 yards, and some of those misses have been really critical game situations. It's far from a guarantee they would have gotten that. The previous fourth down failure it was a drop pass. You know, they should have converted that. Jared Goff put the ball where it needed to go, and he was let down by a drop by his receiver. And I think they'd already passed up on one attempt at being aggressive earlier in the game just before halftime where they did settle for points instead of going for it on fourth down. So, you know, I think Dan Campbell has shown this season he's going to skew more aggressive than he is conservative. And most of the year that's worked out for him. On this occasion, it didn't. I think it was a tough call, but not an egregious one in either direction.
Sam, I thought Brock Purdy's legs in the second half were more effective than Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes in clutch moments. I mean, both those quarterbacks are running quarterbacks that are gifted MVPs. But tell me what you saw in the stats and the numbers with Brock Purdy and what he did that now should shut everybody up who thought that this guy was just a game manager. I thought his legs and running late in the game, I thought that was brilliant football.
Yeah, they did. I mean, he's come up clutch for them the last couple of weeks in critical situations. And, okay, some of that is down to the fact that they played the Lions defense and the Packers defense. It's had a tendency to get too lax and too soft at critical times this season. But Purdy has made his biggest plays when he needed to, when the game was on the line, right at the death, and they've won. They've overcome deficits because of that. So, he's always been a player for them that has made a lot of improvisational plays, a lot of ad-libbing late in the down, the kind of plays where he does add a layer of value to this offense above and beyond what players like Jimmy Garoppolo or Nick Mullins or guys like that have done in this offense. And he does deserve huge credit for that.
Sam Munson, Pro Football Focus. So, Sam, going to Lamar Jackson and analyzing the numbers there, a lot of those long fade backs in the shotgun on 3rd and short where he couldn't even run. Where were the design plays, the design pistol runs, the quick runs, just making the early decision and taking a chance to run for 8 or 9 yards? I couldn't believe the running stats for a team that has a great running quarterback. Was it because they were behind and became pass predictable? How'd you see it?
I think that's one of the big questions from this game is why did they abandon the run so completely and so early in the game? They were playing like they were trailing, by a huge deficit, and they needed to abandon it and just pass all the way through the game. That game never got more than 10 points out of their reach, and yet they didn't run the ball. Gus Edwards had a 15-yard carry the first time he touched the ball in the first quarter, and then only touched it one more time until the fourth quarter. It was crazy how little they employed their run game, particularly when Kansas City's defense, as good as it is, the weaker area is against the run. And they were doing such an amazing job stopping Baltimore's passing game, or at least slowing it down and causing problems. So it should have been the game plan to begin with. It certainly should have been the adjustment they went to once they realized that Kansas City's pass defense was causing them so many problems, and the game was never far enough out of reach that it should have stopped them doing that. It really is one of the biggest unexplained mysteries from that side of the ball, from the Baltimore coaching perspective.
Sam Munson's our guest. One more on that game. I joke a lot. I have a PhD in Kelce. I've seen him play all his games in the Raider rivalry live, so I know what I'm talking about, and I've talked to head coaches about it. Everybody gives the same answer. We're going to put our hands on them. We're going to slow them down off the line of scrimmage. And there's parts of the game, Sam, no one lines up in front of him on critical downs. And he runs 5 yards and turns around and he's wide open. And they don't have a safety over the top or a linebacker trailing him. I'm not saying he has to have a double team every single play. But on critical 3rd down, he was immaculate. I thought it was one of the greatest games of his Hall of Fame career. It was that big. I rank it on his Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and him and Mahomes. Mahomes doesn't get a lot of credit from that game because of the overall numbers weren't big and the defense was so good. But Mahomes, I think, was 10 of 14 on 3rd down. Those two have that connection. Late in the game, obviously, you had the pass to Marquez Valdes-Scantling that basically salted the game away. That connection has been inevitable all the way through the postseason, not just this year, but throughout their entire careers. They both step it up when they get to the playoffs and when the games matter more, and they both show no signs of slowing down in the postseason.
Sam, one more personnel question on Bill Belichick and his future. If we're sitting at the Super Bowl and Bill Belichick's unemployed, and I mean really unemployed, and he's looking at TV deals because we had all these vacancies and no one really took a big look other than Atlanta, I think that's one of the biggest storylines of the year in the NFL. And I'm just not seeing it covered that way other than in Boston and on a couple of national sites here. I cannot believe how humbling this must be to him to know that no one's moving mountains to give him a job easily.
Yeah, but I think a big part of it is the control aspect. You're not just signing Bill Belichick, the head coach. You're signing Bill Belichick, the head coach, the general manager, the team president, the whole shebang. Nobody runs an organization anymore the way the Patriots ran it when Bill Belichick was in charge. So anybody wanting to bring him in and have him coach the football team is signing up to completely upend their football organization and their structure, and for who knows how long. At his age, you don't know if you're doing that for the next 15 years or if this is a 2-year thing So I think it's a very difficult needle to thread for any owner wanting to bring him in is, how do we do this? Give him the kind of control that he's comfortable with without it completely ruining a normal, conventional football structure within this building.
All right, Sam, last one. What's the big storyline this week before we all get out to Radio Row when it comes to the OC positions? What's left? What's remaining? What's a big storyline at Pro Football Focus?
Well, I think the big one is obviously what Seattle are going to do. It's really the one big coaching job left. I think the reports are that Ben Johnson is going to be headed to Washington, even though that deal isn't done yet. And that leaves Seattle as the last kind of musical chair, the last spot for all these coaches, whether it's Bill Belichick. Mike Vrabel looked like one of the best candidates as well. There's a lot of good quality candidates out there and only one job to fill.
Thank you, Sam. Talk to you next week from Vegas. Appreciate you. All right, Sam Munson joining us from Pro Football Focus as we are back here on Raider Nation Radio. Appreciate Sam. We'll talk to him live from Radio Row. I'm going to be doing a couple of shows from the Mad Dog Sports Radio stage and compound there for a few nights from 4 to 7 p.m. on top of our programming from noon to 2, some taping opportunities, just the ability to get down there and work with our team here on the flagship and the Raiders. I'm assuming, and I know the Raiders are going to have some content for me and for all of us, Raiders Roundtable, a couple other interviews that we're looking to line up. Great arguments in the chat and people talking here. Tropical Remy says, take Kelce out of the game and pressure Mahomes all game. That's how you beat them. Have to go all out 100% of the game. Joe Meza, you can't give the Niners the honor of saying they beat the Chiefs. They'll be right there with Tom Brady as the ones to take down Mahomes. DB Cooper, we don't like the teams in Las Vegas. I say suck the money out of the fans and move on. Well, no, that's funny he said that because, Danny, that's a big storyline here in Vegas now. We had Nacho Gate last week on the overpriced nachos, and fans are getting upset about being gouged, buying a $50 cocktail. And I love Vegas, pro Vegas, really pro Vegas. Don't rip off tourists. I hate these hotel fees. I had a dinner the other night. I won't say where it was because they're not a partner, but I had a dinner the other night and I looked at it. It was a big number. And I looked at the tip, what the tip was going to be. I looked at the tax, and then I looked at some funky hotel resort thing that was in there. And I called the server over. Said, no, I'm from here. I'm from here. I don't pay that. And he took it off. And it wasn't the end of the world. And I tipped on top of that number because I didn't want to take away from the server. But enough of these resorts fees and the price of a $9 coffee. A coffee costs 40 cents a cup. If you're sitting in the MGM Grand and on a 30-person line at Starbucks, you shouldn't have to pay $9 because you're in Vegas. Eventually, that's going to come back to haunt us. F1 was overpriced, but they're figuring that out. The Super Bowl committee's been doing this forever. I just hope they get it right, Danny, and don't gouge the locals and the tourists.
Yeah, that's one of the big things, and that's actually kind of why I tend to avoid the Strip. Not solely because it's pretty busy down there, but because everything is inflated. If I buy a beer at a PT's off the Strip, it's maybe $5-6. I buy that exact same beer, the exact same ounces on the Strip, and I could be paying double the price. Yeah. It's rough when they do that to people. What makes people want to go down there instead of stay at a PT's? Yeah, well, that's why we promote our local partners here, because we want everybody to have an opportunity. A lot of people ask us, what are we doing? What do we recommend? I think I'm going to have a big remote on Friday at noon at Caesars. We're dotting the I's, crossing the T's on that. I should know all about that. But Radio Row is interesting because it's just mass hysteria for a week. But the problem with Radio Row now is there's a lot of radio companies that are going out of business and a lot of radio companies that aren't sending their talent here. And you're going to see a lot of gaming now. You're going to see a lot more of these podcasts coming. It used to be Radio Row. We're on the verge of making a podcast row. I'm not in favor of that. I got a couple of podcasts. I'll do them from there. But I like the pure essence of sports radio on the AM and FM dial with the streaming option here. And that's going away quickly. And I just wonder how many program directors around the country are going to say, yeah, we're going to send our team out there. Because back in the day, I worked 17 and a half years, 17 Super Bowls for Fox.
money was never an issue. We stayed in the nicest hotels, had per diems for meals. Now in radio, good luck in radio finding that. If you're into sports talk radio and your program director is sending you to the Super Bowl, unless you're not one of the elite guys out there, it's not like back in the day. And I'm not one of those get off my lawn guys. I worked in sports radio when it mattered the most. No, I worked in sports radio when it was the biggest it ever was, in the early to mid 2000s, where there were no budgets. We got to go everywhere. We covered every sport, and we could do whatever we want. And we all got paid a boatload of money in any day part, overnights, early nights, morning drive. And a lot of people trying to break into the business now with a podcast. All right. The free money is gone in sports radio. The free low-hanging fruit money that was there dramatically for the years. I'm happy I got a lot of it back then, because it is a grind for a lot of people breaking into the business. A lot of people that are breaking into the business that unfortunately don't get the opportunity to broadcast from the Super Bowl. And that's why I'm happy here at the flagship of the Raiders. The Raiders want us big. And Q Myers, our program director, reminds me a lot of me. 20 years ago when I wanted to go to Radio Row and just dominate. And there were years I went to the Radio Row and dominated, because I got there at 8 in the morning and didn't get off the air till 11 at night, and tried to tape every single guy that walked in there. I've retired from that. I don't want to wait 3 hours after my show or 2 hours before to get an 11 or 8 minute guest. Say hi to them, high fives, but we're going to do a lot of content around you, the fans. We're going to be able to get into the chat and call in and do all of that. So a lot of fans are upset today. The level of fandom is good. This is what fans should be like. Fans should be waking up today in Vegas, Oakland, LA, throughout the Raider Nation, saying, oh, man, this sucks. That's how you feel on a Monday. By Thursday of this week, it'll temper down a bit. The next week, when the Swifties get here, and it's all Swifty coverage, what time's her flight land? How's she going to get from Tokyo to the airport to here? How many hours is she going to make up? Oh, she's landed. I will guarantee you, all of you, a bucket of Modelo. I'll bet everyone a bucket of Modelo that when her plane lands in Las Vegas, there will be national and local coverage of the plane landing like a president of the United States. I will bet anything, easy for Modelo's, cigars, La Casa cigars. I'll bet whatever you want, that when her plane is in approach and it lands in Vegas, there's going to be some meathead, knucklehead members of the media out there blogging about it. Not the Swifties. I'm talking about grown-ass men in their 40s and 50s tweeting and blogging about Taylor Swift coming here. They want clicks. That's how you get clicks. You got a photo of the plane landing. You're going to get a couple of clicks. And it's all going to happen in our hometown. I guess the relationships looks real now after what they did on the field. I mean, that was the perfect storm. You got the Swifties on the field. You got Mahomes' wife there. And then the owner's wife, she can't get away. Oh, and Andy Reid's wife, she loves the camera more than anybody, more than Gisele Bündchen when she was with the Patriots. Man, you had the ladies of the Chiefs all decked out on stage. That's why they got to get beat. I don't want to see Jim Nantz on stage with Andy Reid's wife, Mrs. Mahomes, Grandma Mahomes, Taylor Swift. Oh, they're all going to be up there with their jackets on. Oh, they're going to be putting it right in our face. They got to beat. So, yeah, it took me, Danny, about an hour and 20 minutes to say I'm not rooting for either team, but the Niners will do less brain cell damage to me. I think the Niners I could live with. I'll lose some brain cells, no doubt, but I think the Niners winning is better than Kansas City all day long. Cowtown, Luda says, with all due respect, no one gives a blank about Taylor Swift. They all do. You couldn't be more wrong on my chat. She's moving 100 million people to the NFL. She's not moving 10 million. She's moved the needle the way only football players have. That's it. It's her. She's bringing in a new economy to the NFL. I'd like to see the Taylor Swift ratings numbers and the impact on the Super Bowl compared to playing one international game in the NFL in London in a Jaguar game. Who cares about the Jaguars playing in London? The whole world's going to care about Taylor Swift being in Allegiant Stadium on Super Bowl Sunday. We got to find a way to milk something for us on that. We got to be able to put some type of Swifty tax on that. And that's what we talked about, Danny. I'm worried about that. You talk about the gouge, right? The money game, the money gouge and all that. I mean, Taylor Swift doesn't bring the money down, the price of your beverage or your steak down. I think it goes up a couple of pennies.
But yeah, I don't know if she has a direct impact, but Super Bowl definitely does. And we're already starting to see that just with taxis and Ubers and stuff.
Yeah.
They've already announced on top of your fee, there's also going to be a $10 surcharge with every ride.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So they're already starting to put things in place just because it's Super Bowl. And that's not even affecting actual prices, which are going to skyrocket anyways.
I might bring my son in, my junior at ASU. I'm dead serious, just to drive that week for me. Yeah, because I'm an Uber guy, right? I got to get down from the mean streets of Summerlin, get to Radio Row at Mandalay Bay, and driving's fun. But I like to leave the car and have a couple of Modelos or Cervezas. But maybe I'll do that. Just fly my son in and have him take the car around town. It's going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to a big, big, big week. And I hope everybody has a good time along the way. I had a good time with Alex DeCastroverde and his wife the other night. Fantastic couple. They're proud partners of our show because I believe in them. He's the attorney in town I believe in. If you get into an accident, especially around this time of year with the Super Bowl in town, it could be bad around here. I'm not saying you're going to need him, but if you do, 702-222-9999, the DeCastroverde Law Group, the brothers have your back. The brothers have your back. I'll give them a call if you need them or come to me and I'll set you up with them. All right, when we come back, more of your calls on the topic. Who do you dislike more? I'm not going to do 10 days of this, okay? Do a day or two. Who do you want to see lose more? The Chefs or the Niners? Niner fans are going to be so bleeping cocky, and you just got to tip your cap to them. They deserve it. They haven't even played great other than that second half, and they booked a ticket to the Super Bowl. Cool. We'll reset here. I want to get to that sound and get to all that sound. I want to make sure you pulled it so we play it.
Hey, Q, you there?
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness weekdays at 2 on
Q, you there?
Radio 920 AM.
There's a new way to get to the game, M-Riding. M-Ride is the luxury concierge shuttle service. It's the same bus the players use, so you can ride like a pro. M-Ride will take you around.
Hey, I need everybody here to subscribe, please. If you haven't subscribed, let me know you are. Just hit subscribe up there and like. If you can do that, that kind of helps the analytics and everything we're trying to do here for our future partners and all that. So thank you for coming in. If you get a chance, just click subscribe and also like. We'd like that. And if you can share, by sharing, that would mean a lot too to us. Get more people involved in this. We appreciate that.
Like Team Ford, Nevada's truck headquarters. It's a new year. No more debating. Your new F-150 is waiting. Only at Team Ford Lincoln. Here for you. Source Ford Motor Company. Retail sales report 2023 in Las Vegas, Nevada.
When you are injured, knowing that someone has your back changes everything. Our family has spent over 3 decades fighting and pursuing justice for the injured. It's a long family heritage that would proudly carry on. From our father to our family, to the expert legal team at DeCastroverde, we founded this firm for you. We're the DeCastroverde brothers, and we have your back.
Brotherswin.com. Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly. Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner.
Vince says, I've been a Raider fan since 8th grade. Go 49ers, never Chiefs. East Raider Gray. I'm from the Bay, and I can't stand the Niners. I found out from the last time they played that I hate the Niners more than I still hate Kansas City. Wow. But I won't root for either team.
Software,
Absolutely.
telephones, and security systems.
Jimmy guy,
And partner with to find the ideal solution to all of your office
All right, sounds good.
needs. Tell us your
No
goals
problem.
and we'll get you there.
Jorge Meza, JT, make sure to wear your Raider gear the next 2 weeks. I'll wear a little bit of it when I'm not wearing my Raider gear out to dinner or a nightclub every night, but I'll wear it. I'll wear it around. I got more Raider gear, a lot of Raider gear. So I'll be prepping, no doubt. We'll have a lot of fun. All right. Here's one for you. I'm thinking there's a local thing. I'm thinking after the show, Chick-fil-A or Roberto's carne asada burrito. That's a strong, both on the way home, both drive through. And by the way, I'm a Raising Cane's guy, but I had Raising Cane's recently. So do I do the Chick-fil-A on the ride home or the carne asada Roberto's burrito?
Spicy Chick-fil-A sandwich is top notch.
Spicy Chick-fil-A, Danny?
Spicy deluxe is what I do.
Spicy deluxe.
Yeah, no pickles. I don't like that.
Yeah, they really live on those pickles, man. They put pickles on all the sandwiches.
Yep,
All the,
every
wow.
single week.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Coming back with I use
Yeah.
Paid instantly as soon as their shift is done. Enroll now by calling 702-766-6643. 702-766-6643
You got calls?
or go to
Let
freedomcare.com.
me double check that.
Out of the shotgun, drops it up instead of taking a big shot.
Oh, out. Get it off.
Welcome back to the JT Show. Brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
All right, JT, back with you. Little technical glitch there, but you would only know if you were watching on YouTube. Fun that we just said. Danny and I were talking on the YouTube chat during the break, and I said, because Raising Cane's is a proud partner of our show. Raising Cane's, they know how much it is. If they saw my credit card for my sons, Raising Cane's is a proud partner of the show, no doubt about that. But I said, for lunch after the show, because I got to go on 4 o'clock, do I get a Chick-fil-A or a carne asada burrito? And heavy support of the carne asada burrito. I always tell the story about that. I grew up in New York, and I cannot believe growing up as a kid in New York, Long Island, that we never, ever, 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 ever had Mexican food. I mean, what an injustice. You're 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, and there was zero Mexican food in New York, Long Island. Who's got a large Long Island, where I'm from, has got a larger population than most cities around the world. And we never had that choice. And then when I moved out west in 1989 to San Diego, there was a place called Roberto's on the beach there. And I said, oh my God, I've never had anything like this. And it was like $2, $3, $3.50 for a giant meal. We called it the torpedo burrito. And my roommate at the time and I would just buy a paper bag full of burritos for $3 a pop. And then I started eating carne asada burritos. And now my sons love them too. And it's just unreal that some people in whatever age class you're not, you know what I'm talking about, unless you lived in California. They didn't have a lot of burritos in Florida and in South Carolina. They didn't have it like they do in California. And we got a heavy, good quality Mexican food community here in Las Vegas, no doubt about that. So it's one of the things I guess you do in chat. See, Danny, I don't do a lot of food on my show. I don't do a lot of movies and food, but I'll talk Academy Awards, and I'll talk like when I'm starving today. 702. Is the Puerto Rico caller still there? Jay, thanks for waiting in Puerto Rico. Go ahead. What do you mean? What do you mean? You're saying the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl next year? Okay. Okay.
quarterback because in the free agency there's a couple quarterbacks not with experience, but you know how the draft is.
Yeah.
50-50 spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, if you see the names in the free agency, there's a couple of monsters there in defense.
Yeah.
One of the last players of the Legend of Boom there, his name.
But we're not worried about the defense to the point where we got to break the bank or freak out. We're worried about quarterback, right tackle, quarterback. That's the essential move for the Silver and Black.
He's not the number one best quarterback.
Yeah, he is.
He's like the 11th.
Who? Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go. You called from Puerto Rico. I respect you. Saying Caleb Williams is the 11th quarterback. Caleb Williams is the best quarterback I've ever seen in 27 years on the radio, other than Mahomes coming out of college, other than maybe Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. I think the world of Caleb Williams. He's exactly what the Raiders need. A Mahomes-type gunslinger who can throw off either foot, run, big, strong, make every throw. And we're going to have people tear this kid apart. Now, Caleb Williams is a rock star. If the Raiders are fortunate enough to get, I see no path to get Caleb Williams, none. Caleb Williams is going to go number 1 overall to Chicago. Chicago's going to demand 3 first-round picks for him. I don't want the Raiders to give up 3 first-round picks for anybody. 2 all day long. If it's 2 first-rounders and I don't know, I've watched Drake May play, but no one's watched Drake May play. No one watches North Carolina games. Nobody, other than fans of North Carolina. And Jaden Daniels, who I've seen play, and I think is really a good player, won the Heisman. I'd give up 2 first-round picks for him, but I am not the GM, nor I know to stay in my lane. He'll decide on that. I know Dave Ziegler was kicking the tires on C.J. Stroud. That might be a documentary 30 for 30 on what was the conversation between McDaniels and Ziegler. What was the conversation on going to get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud? And Bryce Young's career is not over. He played for a garbage team, terrible team. It's the same thing I said about Bryce Young, I'll say about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had no choice. He had to go to Cleveland. That wasn't his choice. You think Baker Mayfield from Texas, who played at Oklahoma, wanted to go to Cleveland? No interest. And he broke the rookie touchdown record and won a playoff game. And now everybody wants Baker Mayfield. I didn't think that the Raiders were going to go after Baker Mayfield. And I sensed because of the McDaniels connection, they'd go after Jimmy G. Not a lock, but when they got Jimmy G, we were the first to have him on and tell you, I wanted Jimmy G to do well. If we could go back into the hot tub time machine and sign Baker Mayfield to a limited deal last offseason, small deal like he got compared to what Jimmy got, and Baker Mayfield was balling out for the Raiders, what could have been? I didn't fail you on that topic, but I should have went harder on that because Baker Mayfield turned out to have a really good year, and he's available. And I've always been a Kirk Cousins guy, more so than Jimmy G or other guys, because I just love Cousins as a human being, as a leader, as a good player, and a warrior. He takes more hits and waits for that pocket. He's available. I don't know if he's interested in Vegas or not. And if we look at the free agent quarterbacks that the Raiders could go get, there are a few. And then the Russell Wilson debate. If you want to give us Russell Wilson for free, he's not going to be for free. You got to pay for him. All this costs a lot of money. But no doubt this is the year in the draft to trade up, not just for the Raiders, for everybody. East Raider Gray, Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. Worried about not keeping his eyes downfield when the play breaks down. Tends to tuck and run when in trouble. So does Lamar Jackson. I thought Lamar Jackson played a terrible game. Terrible game the other day. Very disappointed by that. The real big name that I think why this offensive coordinator decision is so important is because of Justin Fields. Justin Fields can run better or equal to Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. No debate. I give Lamar Jackson a little bit of an edge over Justin Fields. Justin Fields has made every throw you can make, but not consistently. An offensive coordinator and a quarterback coach in a new system can make him a better quarterback. He's still a young kid. He's a young kid. So assume he develops into a quarterback that has a decent arm. The Raiders and other teams, I want to make sure this isn't Raiders, and someone clips this and puts this on a Raider website and says, JT the Brick wants Justin Fields. No. Several teams should want Justin Fields. He's available for a trade with Chicago, who's going to have to move him. If you don't give up a lot, you bring him into your city and you make him the starter. You hope he has a very good year, and then you tag him, and then you try to work out a deal long distance. And if you pass on him because you want to get Jaden Daniels, I'm cool with that. Why is Chicago going to get rid of Justin Fields? They never would, because they got Carolina's first pick, and it's Caleb Williams, who's better than Justin Fields. No, we'll see. And Jim Harbaugh was on the set. He was out there talking to NFL Network, I think Rich Eisen, about taking over. He's got Justin Herbert. I mean, what the hell is Sean Payton going to do in Denver? Does anybody know what the plan is in Denver? Everybody but me and a few guys were scared to death of Sean Payton coming in. So what are you worried about? They're not very good. They don't have a good roster. And the national media radio guys who don't know the rosters, don't know any content, read off their teleprompter, just thought Sean Payton was going to take Denver to the Super Bowl. How'd that work out? What's Denver going to do? They don't have Russell Wilson. They're not going with Jarrett Stidham. I thought he failed his tryout. They got to get a quarterback because they threw Russell Wilson to the curb. They're going to want to go get – can you imagine what Sean Payton must be saying about Caleb Williams and Drake May? Denver's going to want to move up, but they gave up a lot, and their dead cap hit is huge. Denver's a mess right now. And a lot of sharp people have also been saying lately that Harbaugh's in trouble with the Chargers because the Chargers are going to have to give up at least one of the players, Bosa or Mack, for their cap hit. And Derwin James, Austin Eckler's probably going to walk, and Harbaugh might go young. Harbaugh might go, I got a bunch of Michigan coaches coming with me. We're going to draft some college kids. We're going to get Justin Herbert right. And we're going to rebuild the offensive line, which is good. They were injured. Chargers got a good front. That offensive line's good. And it might take Harbaugh an extra year to get up and running. It shouldn't take the Raiders long to get up and running. The Raiders should walk into this offseason saying, we can beat Kansas City next year, split with them, and be in a division race with Kansas City the entire year. And be better than Denver and be better than the Chargers until they get their acts together. But you know why I can't say that, Danny? Because Kansas City's in the Super Bowl. If Kansas City would have got beat by Miami, if Kansas City would have got beat by Buffalo, which they should have, and if the Ravens didn't fold, I could do a whole radio show. Kansas City's not in the Super Bowl. Raiders beat them last time on Christmas. Raiders are going to be better in the offseason. I can't do it. I gotta do Kansas City radio for 2 weeks. Part of my job requirement. Gotta cover this fan base and this brand because they deserve it. They're going to the Super Bowl. So we got plenty of time talking about the Raiders offseason and what they're going to do. But I think the hiring of an OC is important. I think the development of a star right tackle in his prime or just outside his prime is a lock. And then just ask Max Crosby. Max, what do you need? Seriously, I go right to Max. What do you need? I'm good with Spillane. I'm good with Malcolm Kuntz. I'm good with Merrick. I'm good with all. Okay, Max, what do we need? Bring him in with Patrick Graham. Bring him in with our new GM, Tom Telesco. And Tom Telesco's super sharp. Tom Telesco could come out of the first round with a really good first-round pick and a solid free agent with the Raider money that they have available. Let's go 2 for 2. First-round player who's a starter and a brand-new free agent who's a starter. And keep knocking down holes that the Raiders have and fill them with better players. All right, man, I'm going to end this YouTube stream. Thanks to everybody who joined in. A lot of people joined in today as we're growing. Appreciate everybody. If you can hit subscribe and share it with your friends and like on YouTube live, JT the Brick YT. Catch me tonight on Mad Dog Sports Radio 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. When we come back, Danny pulled some good sound of the most important moments from the championship game. And we'll go over that. And Q's going to have a big show coming up next. And I'm assuming this week we're going to let you know more and more what we're doing down at Radio Row and some of the local events that we'll be helping out here in town. And if we can help with your event, your charity, something you're doing that's special during Super Bowl, use this radio show as a platform to tell people what's going on as we continue on Raider Nation Radio, brought to you by Tequila Commissario, the Ferrari of tequilas. All right, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it. Look for a live stream Tuesday night. Tuesday live stream, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. That'll be the next one. We'll do a live stream on Tuesday, and then we'll do another radio one either tomorrow or Wednesday, as I'll be doing a couple more of these a week. Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great day.